Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Enneagram Spectrum of Personality Styles, an Introductory Guide, 25th Anniversary Edition, by Jerome Wagner, Ph.D. Narrated by Jared Zach. Publisher's Note: this audiobook includes bonus material. Please visit Tantor.com and type Enneagram Spectrum of Personality Styles, an Introductory Guide, into the search box. Follow the link to the book's page. Then, under the Supplemental Content section, please enter the access code PASSION and then click the Unlock button to access the bonus material. The code should be entered in all lowercase letters. All figures referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material.
Forward by Helen Palmer. I first met Dr. Wagner through a microfilm of his dissertation over 20 years ago, an academic treatment of the Enneagram material that has recently attracted a wide international audience. Since then, we've conferred, argued, agreed, and challenged each other's thinking, all of which has been immensely satisfying. Even when you don't see eye to eye with Jerry, his clarity always adds an interesting angle to the debate. This workbook is his piece of the Enneagram magic that draws those who seek something more than Freud's agenda of good, love, and work as the apex of well-being. It's a really good guide, and I'm delighted to recommend it to both new and long-term students who will benefit from his way of bringing the types to life. Helen Palmer, teacher and author of The Enneagram in Love and Work, The Pocket Enneagram. Forward by Thomas Condon. Most introductions to the Enneagram reduce it to a collection of types, but this book takes just the right tone. It offers a dynamic version of the system that is rooted in common sense and personal experience. The writing is distilled and precise, and Wagner's descriptions of personality styles reflect his own vocabulary and vision. Deep mastery of the Enneagram is hard-won and evident in the quality of insight presented here. The author has decades of experience, and it shows. I especially like the book's exercises. Simple yet profound, they point directly to the Enneagram's best purpose: unveiling our inner map of reality. Readers will find surprising new ways to apply the Enneagram both personally and professionally, as well as a direct path to their personal depths. For these and many other reasons, this book is a pleasure to recommend. Thomas Condon, author of The Everyday Enneagram, the Enneagram Movie and Video Guide. Introduction to the 25th Anniversary Edition. It's hard to believe it's been 25 years since the Enneagram Spectrum of Personality Styles was first published. Much has changed since then, as looking at my old photo in the back of the original would attest. Just as the number of hairs on my head have diminished, so have the number of Enneagram books, articles, websites, inventories, and products increased. The bibliography originally listed 21 books, 7 articles, and 8 dissertations. I will leave it to the reader to add up the number of entries in the new bibliography. And even this is incomplete. I wrote my dissertation on the Enneagram in 1981. It was the first unpublished, as most dissertations are, description of the Enneagram system and styles. I was named an honorary founder of the International Enneagram Association in recognition of this contribution. As I said when I received the award, if you join something early enough and stay around long enough, you get a prize. I am honored in both meanings of the word. When I researched my dissertation 40 years ago, it was the third dissertation on the Enneagram, and nothing was published outside of academia. The Enneagram was passed on through oral tradition and teaching. This led me to suggest to my dissertation committee that, instead of bibliographical citations, I put in phone numbers in the reference section so they could call up people and hear what they had to say about the Enneagram. Surprisingly, they failed to see the humor in this, but nonetheless let me proceed with my research. I am forever grateful to their farsightedness, which allowed me to get out of graduate school. When I first learned the Enneagram in 1971, we were cautioned to not speak about it until we were thoroughly familiar with the styles. That lasted about a week, as it was very difficult to keep quiet about such a fascinating system. Since then, much has been spoken and written about the Enneagram. What is one to make of all this new material on the Enneagram? Was the Enneagram written in stone, and so should be transmitted exactly as learned? This is the oral tradition approach, where the student learned and memorized the material from the master and passed it on unaltered. Or is the Enneagram a living tradition that grows and diversifies and is open to ever-new contributions and adumbrations? Is the Enneagram best optically viewed through a microscope or telescope where the vision is held steady? Or is it best optimally viewed like a kaleidoscope where new configurations appear with each turn? And if there are new interpretations and refiguring being offered, which might be required to get your book published, how is one to evaluate the additions and accretions? If all theories are false or partial or not yet replaced, how does the listener/reader assess them? Well, there are several validity sources. One might appeal to authority. This is the dogmatic approach. Who said so? One might appeal to reason. This is the rational approach. Does this make any sense? Is it logical? One might appeal to experience. This is the romantic approach. Does this fit with my experience? One might appeal to science. This is the empirical approach. Show me the data. One might appeal to usefulness. This is the pragmatic approach. So what? Can I apply it? One might appeal to revelation. This is the faith approach. What does God or some higher authority have to say about it? One might appeal to scripture. This is the hermeneutic approach. Where is it written? Depending on one's own philosophical or religious bent, one could use several or all of these validity sources. I come from a humanistic and scientific background, so I tend to ask, does this make any sense at all? Or is it so abstract and convoluted that I don't see how it applies to me? Which is a pragmatic question. Does it fit my experience? Or is it a completely made-up theory? Well, actually, all theories are made up. And where is the data? Did you sequester yourself in your room and just think great thoughts? Or did you interview people, ask them about their experience, and do some research to check out your hypotheses? While there has been much more research done on the Enneagram, more peer-reviewed empirical studies are needed to get the Enneagram into mainstream social sciences. Many of the original Enneagram authorities have passed away since the Enneagram spectrum was first published. Just this year, Oscar Ichazo, who some call the father of the Enneagram, and Claudio Naranjo, sometimes called the mother of the Enneagram, died. My own teacher, Robert Oakes, S.J., died a few years ago. Sadly, we lost 3 of the founders of the International Enneagram Association, IEA: Ted Donson, Don Riso, and David Daniels. We also miss other wonderful contributors to the Enneagram: Suzanne Zerker, Elizabeth Wagel, and others to whom I apologize for not remembering them as I write this. If you want to appeal to authorities, you can't do better than these. When I first learned the Enneagram in the early 1970s, there was not much spoken and little written about the Enneagram-style subtypes. In my original mimeograph notes, yes, I did say the early 1970s, there were about 3 sentences for each of the 27 subtypes. And since the original Enneagram Spectrum book was an introduction to the Enneagram, I wanted to keep it simple and just present the 9 basic styles. So I left out the subtypes. However, in the last few years, there has been a growing interest in the subtypes as they do influence what the styles are preoccupied with and how they show up. Claudio Naranjo has recently written about the subtypes and offered workshops about them. B. Chestnut and Ginger Lapid Bogda have also written about the subtypes following Naranjo's new line of thinking. Mario Sikora reformulated the subtypes to make them more simpatico for a business community. Don Riso, Russ Hudson, Tom Condon, Peter O'Hanrahan, and David Daniels have also written and spoken about the subtypes. So, to bring this Enneagram Spectrum edition into the 21st century, I will review some current thinking about the subtypes and provide brief descriptions of the 27 subtypes in the appendix. Since nothing in life, nor the Enneagram, is simple, we need to make some distinctions. There are 3 centers, 3 instincts, and 27 subtypes, which are a combination of one of the instincts and one of the 9 passions/vices for each type. If you haven't stopped listening to this book yet, let's continue. 3 centers. If I were to ask you, where is your center, what would you say? Some say my center is in my head, right behind my eyes. Others say my center is in my heart or chest region. Still others say my center is in my gut, or my whole body. All are correct. We are 3-brained beings with 3 centers of intelligence: IQ, mental; EQ, emotional; SQ, bodily. We are endowed with all 3 intelligences, but we tend to prefer one over the others. At the end of the day, or consideration, or decision, we trust one a little more. Gurdjieff spoke of man number 1, man number 2, and man number 3. He was 19th and 20th century, each of which preferred one of the 3 centers. Man/woman number 4 integrated all 3 centers. When it comes to making a decision, you might ask yourself, what does my head say about this? What does my heart say about this? What does my body say about this? If they are all in agreement, you will probably make a good decision that you will stick with. If you get 2 out of 3 in agreement, you might make a good lasting decision. If none of the centers agree, you might want to put off your decision, as a house divided against itself cannot stand. Lincoln did not know about the Enneagram as far as I know. 3 instincts. As organisms that have evolved over millennia, Mother Nature has equipped us with instincts to help us survive. We don't have unvarying pre-wired instincts like our animal ancestors. We don't build nests the same way each time. Just walk down your block and look at all the different houses. Nor do we have sex the same way each time. Just read the Kama Sutra. We do have some pre-wiring inherited from our predecessors, though, that incline us to react in certain ways. We have also evolved a consciousness that allows us to override our natural proclivities, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. Evolutionary psychologists say we all have a self-preservation instinct that helps us to individually survive. As herd creatures or social beings, our ancestors discovered that they survived better together than isolated, and so gifted us with a social instinct. We all also have a sexual instinct that enables the species to survive. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Instincts are healthy. If we don't interfere with them, they will lead us to what we need to survive and thrive. That's the good news. The bad news is we can corrupt even very natural processes. This happens when our passion, or vice, or maladaptive emotional schema leaks into our instincts and distorts them. Which leads us to the 27 subtypes. 27 subtypes. If you rely on authority as your validity check, know that Enneagram authorities disagree about the subtypes. They even disagree on what to call the 3 instincts. While there is a higher and lower intellectual center and a higher and lower emotional center, there are 3 side-by-side expressions of the bodily center. Gurdjieff divided this somatic center into the moving, instinctive, and sexual centers. Ichazo refers to the social, self-preservation, and sexual instincts. The Enneagram Institute of Riso and Hudson refers to the instinctual variants of self-preservation, social, and sexual. The Enneagram in the narrative tradition of Palmer and Daniels labels the subtypes as self-preservation, social, and intimate or one-on-one. The awareness-to-action approach of Sikora renames them preserving, navigating, and transmitting. When I first learned the Enneagram from Bob Oakes, S.J., who had just attended the seminar of Claudio Naranjo, who had just returned from Chile having studied with Oscar Ichazo, I had the impression that the 3 subtypes had something in common, no matter which style they accompanied. I used the example of going to a conference. The self-preservation subtypes are concerned about surviving the conference. They check the weather in the area, the accommodations, the food, the safety of the surroundings, their travel arrangements, etc. The social subtypes are more concerned about who will be attending the conference, who they will be with. Will we be like-minded, have similar values and interests, have the same philosophy? Will I fit in and belong? The sexual/intimate/one-on-one subtypes will be able to relax when they connect with one other person at the conference. Or they may travel with a companion or visit a relative in the area. I also described the energy of the subtypes as tentative, anxious, more introverted, self-preservation, or moderate, easygoing, relatable, ambiverted, or more extroverted, social, or intense, forceful, strong, extroverted, sexual. Or, and it's a stretch, the subtypes are like the expressions of water. Mist, hard to get hold of, self-preservation. Water, adaptable to its surroundings and container, social. And ice, firm and tangible, sexual. I'm happy to let all that go. We tend to live within one of the subtypes all of our life. This may be due to the interaction of temperament and environment, just like the types themselves. Or one theory postulates we are preoccupied with certain issues because those needs weren't met when we were growing up. It's also possible that, given your current circumstances, one of the instincts might become more salient. For example, if you lost your job, your self-preservation instinct might become figural. If you have just fallen in love, your sexual instinct might be more pronounced. If you have joined a new neighborhood, company, or protest movement, your social instinct would come to the fore. Some speak of the stacking or prioritizing of the instincts. Which is first, second, and third, or primary, auxiliary, or overlooked? Ichazo said that when the vice of each style leaks into the 3 instincts of that style, a word arises to describe that state. so he has 27 words to describe that combination. But then he and others changed some of the words. So apparently the Enneagram subtypes are not set in linguistic stone. Naranjo has also revised his understanding of the 27 subtypes. They do not necessarily have the same dynamics for each of the 9 styles. In the original thinking, if you were to put all the self-preservation, social, and intimate subtypes in their respective groups, each would have something in common, even though they were different enneatypes. The new thinking is that within the subtypes of each type, there is a countertype whose expression seems out of sync with the flow of the major style. The energy is different, and this subtype might actually appear like some other type entirely. Now we're back to our validity sources. What makes sense to you? What fits your experience, personal validation? What do others say about their experience, consensual validation? Is there any data to support this position, and others? In the appendix is my description of the subtypes that attempts to honor the most recent thinking. Recall that a subtype results from a mixture of the vice or passion, anger, pride, deceit, envy, avarice, fear, gluttony, lust, indolence, and the instinct, self-preservation, social, sexual, of the type. Other authors have written and presented about the subtypes. Riso Hudson, 1999, Naranjo, YouTube, Chestnut, 2013, Lapid Bogda, 2018, Daniels, 2019, Sikora, MarioSikora.com, Condon, TheChangeWorks.com, Wurtz, 2020. After all these years, I still find the Enneagram a comprehensive and useful psycho-spiritual system. I am heartened that a younger generation has taken it up, and I look forward to reading and hearing their contributions. Introduction. It is always fascinating and mutually confirming when theories and descriptions of personality from various sources of perennial wisdom resonate with contemporary psychological systems of personality. Such is the case with the Enneagram theory of the human person, with its manifestations in 9 personality styles. The Enneagram is a 9-pointed figure in a circular setting that is used to display 9 personality styles. In Greek, ennea means 9, and gramma means point. This array has been compared to a wheel of colors. As you shine white light into a prism, it fans out into a spectrum of the basic colors. According to this metaphor, every person contains all the hues of the spectrum, although one color particularly stands out or characterizes each individual. From a spiritual point of view, this metaphor says that divinity descends and shows itself through 9 earthly manifestations. From a philosophical point of view, it says that being is disclosed through 9 essential characteristics. From a psychological viewpoint, it states that human nature is expressed in 9 natural fundamental ways. The personality paradigms or patterns that are arranged in this circumplex model represent, depending on which metaphor you select, either 9 manifestations of the divine, or 9 qualities of being, or 9 phenomenological worldviews and perspectives. From this latter point of view, these underlying fundamental schemas or maps are root organizing assumptions or core beliefs which influence and even determine our perceptions, thoughts, values, feelings, and behaviors. These paradigms are at the heart of how we think and feel about ourselves and other people, and they govern the kinds of interactions with others we allow ourselves to think about and to have. These styles, then, are different ways of being in the world, different ways of experiencing, perceiving, understanding, evaluating, and responding to ourselves, others, and reality. Traditional schools of wisdom often use a circle as a symbol of unity, completeness, and fullness. So it is not surprising that a circular figure is used to describe the full range of human expression. Interestingly, modern psychology, through complex statistical factor analysis, has found that circumplex models are the most apt means for graphically plotting personality characteristics. Although the origins of the Enneagram are disputed, some speculate its roots lie in antiquity, some trace its lineage to the Middle Ages, still others allege it is a modern discovery, and the exact transmission of the Enneagram symbol remains murky. What is clear is that the laws and descriptions of the human essence and personality, as seen through the lens of the Enneagram, have been recognized in some fashion across centuries, as well as across races, cultures, age spans, and genders. There does appear to be something universal in the nature and functioning of the human person that is being expressed through this system. Since it has become better known in the last 20 years, the Enneagram has become popular and is being validated in such varying cultures as Japan, India, Africa, Europe, North and South America. Today, it is being used in a variety of settings, from growth centers and therapy rooms to classrooms and business boardrooms, with a variety of purposes from personal, psychological, and spiritual growth to couple interactions, team building, and management effectiveness. The Enneagram was originally transmitted through oral tradition and is probably best learned through hearing about it and interacting with others. Only in the last few years has the Enneagram been transcribed into written form for wider publication. This introduction, with its workbook and exercises, is intended to be a bridge between the oral and written traditions. It can be used by workshop presenters, therapists, and consultants as a teaching aid for introducing the Enneagram to their clients. It can also stand on its own as a brief written primer for the Enneagram. The exercises and descriptions that follow are designed to introduce you to the general personality theory that grounds the Enneagram, and to familiarize you with the 9 hues that make up its spectrum of personality styles. Hopefully, this combination of experiential reflection and presentation of theory will help you locate, understand, and appreciate your own particular style. This primer presumes no prior knowledge of the Enneagram. Complete the exercises in the introduction. Compare with your own style the word and phrase descriptors before each chapter. Then consider the descriptions of the 9 Enneagram styles. The word/phrase descriptors are meant to be a précis or partial cataloging of the positive and negative features of the 9 styles. For a formally researched, statistically reliable, and validated inventory, with a standardized sample and normative scores, you can take the Wagner Enneagram Personality Style Scales, WEPS, at www.wepss.com. Like the WEPS, the exercises have been developed over many years through many workshops and courses. They are designed to help you reflect on your own experience. As you till the data of your experience, the Enneagram descriptions may expose a pattern that has been present in your life without your recognizing it. The exercises begin with very general reflection questions and then become more specific, something like a funnel which is wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. There are exercises for each dimension of the Enneagram personality mosaic. So this manual follows the process of knowing. Begin with your experience to provide the data, then let understanding arise from your experience to produce a template for organizing the data. Then come to some judgment about your experience and understanding. Core self or essence or objective paradigm. Some schools of perennial wisdom, including the Enneagram, and some contemporary psychological theories of development and personality make a basic distinction between our essence, or real self, and our personality, or
Sample complete. Ready to continue?